Um, no, well, male ass and female ass don't look that different. Somehow, yes and no, says Banana Waffle Monkey. It's not just the ass. It's the shape, like the shape. And usually in many games like that, they spend just like in Hollywood movies. In games, they make them look pretty, eh? But I think I did figure out as well why why they uh, why my aesthetic sensitivities become violated in this game. Like I've played Terra Online. We were talking about MMOs the other day. Terra Online was kind of rough in the same way this game is kind of rough, right? But I didn't have any issue playing Terra. Aesthetic. Funny. Oh. I think it's the immersion. I think this, I'm focusing on the story. Just like in anime, I'm focusing on the story. And when they go out of their way to just do the aesthetic, it bothers me. It breaks my immersion. Because, yeah, like this wouldn't happen. This doesn't make sense in the context of the story. I think that is what bothers me somewhat. Also, I've been more and more influenced by uh, like equalism, like feminism, but not the rough kind, the sensible kind. I usually want to change it to like it's not feminism, it's equalism. It's everybody, not just like feminism is like they work for the betterment for females, right? Egalitarianism. I don't remember that word. Maybe that is the thing that I mean. I need to check that out. Oop, let's put you right here. Wait. Egalitarianism. Yeah, equalitarianism. Within political philosophy that builds from the concept of social equality, prioritizing it for all people. Egalitarian doctrines are generally characterized by the idea that humans are equal in fundamental worth and moral status. Sorry, I don't agree with that. Mm-mm. Like saying that humans are equal in value. Uh-uh. Mm-mm. That's that's just dumb. Like, well, if I get to choose, like a random person in China or my own mother dies, I get to choose. Like fundamental worth are not the same, right? I don't agree with that at all. Moral status. I don't really understand what moral status means in this context, so I won't speak to that. Egalitarianism is the doctrine that all citizens of a state should be accorded exactly equal rights. I don't really like the word rights either. For me, it's more like an inclusive thing, right? The feminists do have a point. Like, for some years now, women has had it a bit worse than men, right? And still do in many places. And also, there are in many ways men has it worse than women, right? Mm, I feel like those are questions worth addressing. Like, let's not step on any people based on like ethnicity, based on sexuality, based on gender, based on sex, based on anything. Let's not step on people. That's what I think. And this doesn't really seem like what I'm looking for. It's close to it, but it's not exactly the same. Colgate In on Tap says that people are equal in death. Well, I mean, after death. And I don't know. I value Newton more than Bob Swinton. Right? Einstein. Are they equal in death? I don't think so. Like worth is subjective, right? Wait, oh no, you said equal in death. I mean, yeah, death, like after death is the same. The moment of death are not equal. Like I would prefer to die in my sleep rather than burning to death, right? So the actual moment of transition are not equal, but what after the transition, I agree with you there, Colgate In on Tap. Yeah, but I think mostly what bothers me is my immersion. My immersion. I think, anyway. I hadn't thought about it before, and that's my initial thoughts into the matter, like why I feel this way. It may be only just post hoc rationalizations. Sometimes titties are okay, and other times they're not. Who knows? Maybe there are some other unconscious things going on. I am not sure. Maybe it's just because in this story, it's fucking children's. It's borderline pedophilia, and I find that gross. Like, there was this Netflix show some time ago. I haven't seen it, but I've seen picture from it. Like, with 11-year-olds dancing like strippers. I've seen the pictures, and the pictures make me cringe. It's like, ugh, why are you doing this? Why? Why? Please, don't. Stop. I don't want to see that. Ugh. It's like porn. In porn, there's a lot of like stepsister and stepbrother and stepson and all that. Like, why are you doing this? I, I don't care for it. I don't care for it at all. But I mean, that's me yucking someone else's yum, I suppose. So maybe I should just keep my mouth shut and let it happen. Just close my eyes, I suppose. Rush through the scenes. Oh. Yeah, yucking other people's yum is not. I don't want to do it. It's just, for me, it's yucky. Like, I'm yeah. That's an interesting question. Like, pedophiles that just get their business by paintings, like as a way to manage, right? Where no actual kids get hurt, harmed. Is there, should that be considered like ethical behavior? Like, person can't control what they're attracted to, right? And as long as they're not hurting anyone, don't think there should be any ethical quandaries, like ethical hiccups with that. What would that be? Alright, let's get the reading. But what had prevented me from doing so before? Was I really that old back then? Oh, it stops mid stuff left in a hurry yesterday. Consider it a second chance. Get a job, could rent a room in a hostel. Yeah, right. Like, might try to achieve something, but he hadn't done it before, eh? Colgate in on tap says borderline ephobophilia. Not even close to pedophilia. Wait, post hoc says Banana Waffle Monkey. What's post hoc? Oh man, I don't know that word. The narrator. Oh yeah. Exactly. Right now, post hoc indeed. Let's see, what does this word mean? Oops. Fuck, where did it go? Here. Mid to late adolescence. Oh, right. Right. Not even close to pedophilia, says Colgate on tap. Yeah. Well, I mean, I would go further down than this. Where does pedophilia start and end? Prepubescent, right? Pedophilia would be prepubescent, like sub 12, sub 10, something like that, I suppose. So 15 to 19. So is there another one like prepub, like pedophilia is children, right? And then there is early teens, and this seems like late teens. I feel like this is more, well, yeah, I would agree, late teens. But it touches on early teens as well with wait, what the fuck is he called again? The redhead. I don't remember names. And also the cat girl is behaving like a child. Like her behavior is like a child. There's like, yeah, like clueless, doesn't understand the world or something. Colgate in on tap says hebephilia is early teens. Oh, there we go. Thanks. Yeah. I'm thinking like having these, like anyone having that, like not acting on it in the real world, but still like just doing it with cartoons. I don't see any ethical issues with that, I suppose. Just I can't relate to any of those either, actually. Not any of those philias. I mean, I would want a woman my own age. Indeed. Kids. They don't know shit about shit. Ugh. I don't like kids. Does it show? Fucking kids. Fucking teenagers. They don't know shit about shit. But what had prevented me from doing so before? Was I really that old back then? I jammed like an old rifle. Wait. Jammed like an old rifle, right? And without outside help, I wouldn't have escaped this cycle of self-reflection. Fortunately, Lena soon appeared by the camp leader's cabin. Nice. Hello, crazy person. I raised my eyes reluctantly and stared through her for a few seconds. Hello? I... She stopped, looked away and blushed. Well, never mind. May I have a seat? Sure. Lena perched herself perched herself along the edge of a deck chair. What are you thinking about? I'm trying to understand the laws of this world. How's it going? She asked seriously. Not too good. Perhaps they're beyond human comprehension. Then maybe you shouldn't bother. But then what should I do? I just have to. Why? And really, why? Does it happen to be some sort of vital urgency? I mean, it's difficult to put yourself in these shoes, but like if I kind of want to understand the rules. Like when I find myself in a new situation, like when you start a new job or work or whatever. Banana Waffle Monkey quotes, I'm done trying to figure out this world. And also quotes, I need to figure out this world. Exactly, it's like ad infinitum ad nauseum. Yeah. And he's lying, like, all the time. Like, since he hasn't to infinity and Nassau? Nassau. I thought nauseum was like you feel sick. Like nausea. Maybe they are close by. I can't type lols as Banana Waffle Monkey. Because he's like, both of those quotes, like he's trying to figure out this world. He says that he's done. And then he says he needs to try to figure out this world. He has taken like pretty much no steps in trying to figure this world out. He's taken a few, like dipped his toes in a little bit from time to time. Just a little tiny bit. Just, I don't know, but not really. Not really. It's like it's been my major gripe with the like everything so far. Major gripe. It's just him ad nauseum and not like just talking about it. What's it called? All talk, no action. No? All talk. Yeah, he's all talk. And he's talking bullshit. He's a liar. Liar. Does it happen to be of some vital urgency? I didn't really bother thinking about things like that. Like, in the past. And lived in relative peace. Oh, he didn't bother about thinking stuff like that. Right. And what has changed so drastically now? Like, this question doesn't make any sense. What has changed? What did change? Really? Semyon, what has changed drastically now? Maybe, however, if we think that Semyon is just a figment of the author's imagination, right? The me character. So maybe this is him somehow. He created this book, right? And then he kind of fell in love with his whole creation. There's a cat girl now, says Colgate in on tap. Indeed. But yeah, it's like he fell in love with his whole camp and his whole thing, right? And he really liked writing. So maybe, or rather, Semyon knows about it now. Oh yeah, Semyon knows about the cat girl now. Well, we could argue that the author just created the cat girl, right? We don't know that. Like the me character, the not Semyon. So maybe all of this him ad infinitum ad nauseum, like in the author just going on and on, why Semyon is going on and on, is perhaps reflected to an issue that the actual author, the me character, has in the real world. Like, so maybe this question is not really meant to be. It's more like a journal, you know, that he's journaling. But he's journaling in Semyon's world instead of his own world. So something has changed in him, the author, in the real world. He has started to care more. Like that would be the dream. Him caring about Masha, the me character. Like he had been a dick towards Masha, right? He hadn't cared about her, but now he's like, the author is moving towards growing up and actually thinking about these things and maybe considering having a family with Masha. It's maybe one way to read this question. So this is not Semyon asking the question. Like if we blur the lines between author, because like it's not a secret that the author, like it's canon that he's not a very good author, right? And the story is finished, and this here is just maybe just rambling, journal ramblings. Which would make sense, I suppose. I won't think about it now either, and I will be living in somewhat different conditions, but what's wrong with that? If there is no choice, I don't know. It seems that nothing is up to me. It looked like Lena wanted to say something, but she didn't. And you probably came to see Olga. Yes, I mean, no. But to be honest, what is it? Sometimes I feel that way too. What do you mean? That nothing is up to me. I looked at her attentively. She was sitting with her downcast eyes, nervously toying with a handful of field flowers. They were yellow like the fervent rays of the summer sun. But the rays of the sun aren't yellow. I heard, I don't know how true that is, but you know, the sun is all colors, right? Because it's all colors radiating out. But if you had to pick a dominant color from our sun, it would be green. That's what I heard anyways. Don't quote me on that. Mostly infrared, I think, says Banana Waffle Monkey. I mean, I guess. Do have a point. Mostly infrared. Actually. Maybe, maybe not. From our perspective, I suppose. But that does make sense. That is the biggest value we take from it anyway. Well, you know, these flowers, for instance, they're just growing for the sake of it. And then I rip them out of the ground, and that's all. She was literally about to start crying. It didn't really fit my picture of Lena. Well, yeah. To be honest, I really don't know what to say. Well, so are we. We are ripped out, and then... She got up and abruptly rushed into the direction of the square without saying goodbye. Crazy Lena. Indeed, Lena, like all the other pioneers, seemed to be real. Not a figment of my imagination, not a doll, not an NPC. A few hours ago, I was sure that I am the only one who exists here. And possibly that cat-haired girl. I wish I could find her. Like, he wish he could find her, but he's not looking for her, is he? I'm in a state of something like spiritual deprivation. All my senses are working properly, but I still have a painful need to know why I am here. As if the need for identity to find my place in this world, to determine its nature, laws and mechanisms had become vital, just like the need for food and rest. That's not part of, what's it called? The hierarchy of needs, right? Understanding, curiosity. Colgate Inontaps asks, will you do this Genia route? It has no fan service and it tells more answers. But is there a Genia route? I didn't know there was one. Did I miss that? Like, according to this, I've done all the routes. It's like it only lets me do this again, like it says here. If you've had all the good endings and Miko's ending, then you can do Julia's ending, right? So this here claims that there is no Genia route. It's like the need for food and rest. It's probably the worst punishment for a human, to have the desire to understand something but not the ability. Well, to wish to change something but not to have the opportunity, to strive for something but to be unable to achieve it. Nah, I mean, focusing on outcomes, it rarely leads to where you want it to lead. And I can think of worse punishments, like death by fire. One pioneer's story, says Colgate on tap. I don't understand Colgate on tap. One pioneer story. I never seriously thought before why I'm in the world, how much time will I spend here, what do I have to do, and what will come next. Now, after encountering this other world, I have nothing left but to think about these. Wait, what did he say? Never seriously thought about this before. Yeah, usually like new thoughts and like the expansion of a person's worldview is often when something happens that challenges that person's worldview. Right? If I have an idea, this is how the world works, and then I run into something, well, I was obviously mistaken. This is not how the world works. Then I start reflecting. It's a give and take between me and the world, right? And it's so bad and that is so horrible because I have thought about how does one deal with narcissism? Like, how do we deal with narcissism? If I wanted to focus on changing someone else, like I'm starting to leave that behind a little bit, but if I did, like, how could I get someone out of narcissism? And it's like there's nothing I can say or do because those are my words and my ideas, and a narcissist can only think in terms of their own views and ideas, right? So it has to come from within, kinda. Like, it has to be them thinking that their worldview doesn't work anymore. And usually, though, these experiences that makes us start to think like this are often traumatic. It's often traumatic, and that goes against my ethics, right? Putting people through traumatic situations, I don't want that. Even if, no matter who they are, I don't want to put anyone through traumatic situations. Colgate Unotap asks, did you check the bottom of the guide? I did not. Maybe I should. Assimilation versus accommodation, says Banana Waffle Monkey. Alright, assimilation versus accommodation. I don't understand. In this context, I don't think. Assimilate is where you integrate, right? Make something your own. Accommodate is adapting to. I don't quite understand what you mean, Banana Waffle Monkey. Oh. Character roots, Semyon, Slavia, Uliana, Alisa, Lena, Miku, Julia, Genya. You can play Genya's route after completing the other main endings. You can start this route from the title menu settings, mods and uses scenarios, one pioneer story. Oh. This is not the true ending. This is not the last ending. There is another ending after that. Oh, that sinking feeling. Banana Waffle Monkey is trying to find a glossary. Oh, I think I know the words, what they mean. I just don't understand what you mean in the context. Simulation. Merriam-Webster and Act. Process or instance of assimilating. Well, that was super helpful. Take into the mind and thoroughly understand. Oh, assimilate. Yeah, like building your worldview, like thoroughly create an understanding. Like you don't understand, you create an understanding, right? Or as nourishment, yeah. Yeah. And accommodation is just adapting to other stuff. Maybe it means the other ones as Banana Waffle Monkey. Absorbing the cultural tradition of population to group. I'll figure that out tomorrow. That's good enough. Yeah, it's late for you, right? Yeah. 6 a.m. Oh, it's early, I suppose? A creature of the night, eh? I guess that if it is possible to escape from here, I will return to my quiet life where I don't have such troubles. It's like, it's too late now. Like when you've started assimilating, it's like, you can't really forget. Like if your worldview shatters, you have to mend it. And when you've mended it, you can't like go back to the ignorance you had before, right? You can't understand things. You can forget things, I suppose. You cannot understand things. Once you've understood something, well, you can get hit on the head, I suppose. And forget something like that, but understand it. Like, but I won't return. It's so hard to face a task which cannot be completed. If I could choose my fate, I would never agree to this bus, this camp, these girls. I would stay there in my apartment in front of the monitor. You can't demand anything more from a person than he can do. It's better to spend the rest of your life working in the mind than trying to understand something that just won't fit in your head. Failure of imagination. There's a great many things that can fit in one's head. And again, the hierarchy of needs dude would disagree with you. After all, there's no other way. Of course, it is possible to make a valiant effort to try not to think, try to accept this reality and start a new life. But it's not part of human nature to neglect everything that happens around you. Agreed. Colgate In on Tap says that you can find out that you never understood it in the first place. Yeah, right. That's what I meant, like when your worldview shatters, right? If you have a picture, you have an idea of how the world works, then something happens that that informs you that, oh, it works differently than I thought, right? Then that's the path to gaining new understanding of how the world works, right? And in that understanding, like in that traumatic experience, you also understand, well, maybe, yeah, you can reject it as well. Some people, that's a path to mental unhealth, ill health. There you go. Can reject it, but it's like, I'm pretty sure it'll be an itch you can't scratch, and you'll have to like go the route of the addict, like trying to just ignore it by focusing on something else. Always focus on something else, right? It's like an anomaly in science. It's always there, even if we ignore it for now. It's like we have an anomaly and we don't know how to deal with it. So we just put it to the side. We can reject it, but it's not gone. Just because we reject it, just because we put it to the side and focus on other things, the anomaly itself does not disappear, right? If I was accused of a crime which I had not committed, of course I would try to resist to prove my innocence. No one would agree to life in jail instead of at home, which their home is like. No one would agree to live in jail instead of at home. I have this great movie that I can recommend to you. I don't know if you've heard about this webpage. It's called IMDb. It's like they have a top there, like the top 100 movies of all time. If you go to the top and just look at those movies, see if nobody would agree to stay in jail. Also, I worked in a prison, right? For a little over a year. Yeah. And I had stories. There's like people doing it's their career living in jail. Like they get out, they get paid for whatever, being the fall guy for something. They go out, do a lot of crazy shit, spend all the money, and then they go back to like the organization. They say, "Oh, I'm all out of money. Do you need me to do something?" And then he gets caught. He gets sent to jail, or not jail, but gets sent to prison, right? And they live like that. It's their home. Prison is their home. They get used to it, institutionalized, and just live like that. I mean, and I can see like from, I mean, different prisons, right? But in Swedish prisons, you are quite comfortable. You get your food served. You get like, it's a super square life. You don't have to take any responsibilities, not really, because like your whole day is planned out in advance. You don't have to do anything. No responsibility. Isn't it guilt that is proven, not innocence, says Colgate in a tap? Well, I mean, it depends on your point of view, right? In a lot of American movies, it's that way. In Sweden, it isn't. It's like you can put in jail. You can be put in jail for over a year just because the cops had a hunch. Usually that hunch pans out, but not always. They can just do it, right? And then guilt is presumed. Colgate in on tap says that sounds messed up. It is. Especially since, I mean, Swedish prisons are great. Swedish jail is fucking horrible. That is a huge issue in America, says Banana Waffle Monkey. I'm not sure if he's talking about proven not innocence or people trying to live in jail or prison. Because in Swedish jails, it depends, they have different security levels, right? But I remember I met some people that sat in jail for over a year. They had maximum security restrictions. So that was 23 hours in a day was complete alone. No contact with the outside world whatsoever was allowed. Yeah, he got books. I'm pretty sure they got books. And like once a day, 1 hour, they were had to like go outside to walk in a courtyard, right? They were alone, and there was only the jailer, like the guards, moving them from that spot to the other spot. And sometimes the guards give them food, right? But I mean, that's the only human interaction for 13 months. That is messed up. That is messed up. Banana Waffle Monkey says that the huge issue in America is the cycle of people going to prison, losing their lives effectively. Yeah, not knowing how to reintegrate. Yeah. And end up back. Yeah, that is an issue as well, right? Because, like, when you're in prison, who are your contacts? Right? Who do you get to know? And who will help you when you get out? The friends you made? Maybe some friends you had before. Perhaps. The friends you had before, they didn't help you not to go to prison, right? I guess. And the new friends you make within. Actually, that was... I remember two of the prisoners having that very discussion, like difficulties reintegrating after spending years in prison. They were discussing that pretty soberly. It's like when they were out on permis, well, the prison that I had, sometimes they get to go out for like a weekend or whatever. And they had that recently, and it was like they felt weird. Felt weird going out. It didn't feel real. I guess something like that. And I mean, I'm guessing like even people that doesn't do a career out of it might just try to go back because that is the world that they know now. That is the life that they understand. So they go back intentionally. Now it's me who was thrown out of the world that I was used to into this jail. Though it is boundless. How do you know these things? Though there are no walls or bars on the windows, it is still a jail. I did not ask for this. And my only desire for now is to return back home. It's his only desire. It wasn't that. Like, I think we can see him say the other thing just earlier in this. There we go. I wish I could find her. But this is not his only desire, you know? It's... Colgate In on Tap says that American prisons make profit by having as many prisoners as possible, so their goal is rather counterproductive to what prisons should do. In your opinion, Colgate In on Tap? But I would agree that I don't know enough about American prisons since I'm not an American, but a prison making a profit by having many prisoners sounds like that is something that I would not prefer in my society. Like think of traffic cops getting paid by how many people they catch. Right? They have an incentive then for people to drive faster and more unsecurely so they could catch more people and trick people. Honeypotting, I suppose. So they would have an economic interest in people doing crime or being unsafe. Banana Waffle Monkey says private prisons. Ugh. Yeah, it's kind of it seems like I would not like that. I mean, prisons have enough problems as it is. Anyone who's read about the Stanford prison experiment knows that. And also, I mean, another thing that I noticed working in Swedish prisons is that they have like guidelines, like what is our point, and it was like to get better when you get out. That was the main like slogan for the prison for all the workers. That is what we're supposed to work against. But something that I noticed, like the two typical personalities that works at a prison are people who wants to help, right? Wants to help people. And there are the bigger group of people, the group of people who wants to step on other people. Just want to trample them down, spit on them. That are people who works at prisons and get drawn to that type of work, right? And that kind of makes sense. And since there were so many of them, there are no checks and balances, and they group up and build norms in the prisons that steps on the prisoners, and it's not helpful. It's not making society any better in my in what I consider a better society, more inclusive society, I suppose. And the only key out of here is hung just a bit higher than I can reach with a jump. So many assumptions. And there is nothing helpful around, no chair, no stool, not even a small stone that one could be put under my feet. Here we go again, like this. This hymn again, just going on and on and on, and not trying anything new, not often. And no one to help me, but yourself. A few centimeters, just a few centimeters separating me from freedom, from realizing everything. Yeah, again, this sounds like the ramblings of the author again. The author is talking about his prison, like him being not happy with his life. That interpretation seems way more. It's like the author has had, like, he's close to a psychosis, something like that. Like he has thought loops, right? The author is maybe not depressed, but having thought loops of anxiety about feeling stuck in life or whatever, and he's taking that, he's journaling it and working it through in his own kind of weird and unreasonable way, like something like that. Maybe it's impossible to return back home, but at least I'll be able to escape from this jail. That is exactly what I wanted for the last 5 days. Dot dot dot. Night slowly descended on the camp. Dinner went by without me, and the camp leader stopped several times by the deck chair, trying to tell me something. But I was already in another world, the world of my cage without a key, bound by a Gordian knot to Ariadne's thread. I'm guessing that's Greek mythology or something like that. It was not long before the light in the cabin was turned off and the crickets started their lamenting whining all around. Banana Waffle Monkey says, someone's been reading Little Dorrit. Don't know what that is. Is it any good? Somewhere in the distance, an owlet was hooting at the speed of 37 hoots per minute. I was sitting and rhythmically knocking, trying to accompany him. Suddenly, bushes rustled around me, and a squirrel with a nut in his teeth climbed on a tree. By Charles Dickens, says Banana Waffle Monkey. I have not read any Charles Dickens. I've heard the name a couple of times, or many times, I think. It's a recognizable name. Wait, maybe it's Christmas Carol? Is that Dickens? No. I'm confusing that with someone else. I'm terrible with names, so terrible with them. Commentary on the literal and metaphorical ways we imprison ourselves. There we go. Carol is Dickens too. Had one name going for me, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, Noderunner had a good point on that yesterday, the metaphorical ways we imprison ourselves. It's like every path you take in life excludes other paths. So, is it really imprisoning ourselves? Or is it the freedom of picking the path and then just walking on the path that you have picked? Depends on perspective, right? In the metaphorical ways, right? Fork in the road. After you walk the fork in the road, you have less decisions to make. I don't know. It might be hurrying to meet its family. The summer night's charm was as rich as always, but it didn't affect me in any way at all. The mechanisms of my brain and probably my soul were in need of some serious maintenance, just not a slapdash repair of the bodywork and a new paint job. I decided to take a walk, because thinking about it, I've been sitting in this deck chair for almost a whole day. I even took a small nap. Everyone in the camp was tired, the camp was sleeping. Actually, that would have been a good spot to end for lunch before the walk. Here we go. The walk between Pioneer's cabins, the square, the statue of Genda, the first paths, all that was changing like pictures in a kid's book. Breaking the fourth wall, eh? Yeah, I need to go for lunch. Lunch. Alright, I had a good time today as well. Here we go. Colgate Innotab says, with hyperbolic geometry, you have enough space for infinitely crossing paths. Yeah, I guess. What's your point, Colgate Innotab? All right, it depends on your perspective, right? What's that sound? There's a car honking outside. So yeah, there's always there could be always the same amount of choices left. Exactly. It's a point of perspective, right? That was kind of the point. That are we really imprisoning ourselves, taking one path over another path? Probably not. And you could change your path at any time as well. Well, hypothetically at any time, depending on, like, you can cross another path infinitely and there's another path over there. There's always another path, I guess. So, well, thanks for hanging out today, and Wait, Colgatean and Seb says in Euclidean, you'd have to do constantly narrower or longer paths to fit him in. Oh yeah, lots of math, lots of curved and non-curved shapes, I suppose. Euclidean is two-dimensional, I think. Oh well, it's lunchtime. It's lunchtime. 20 minutes ago. I've been late for lunch many times in a row now. My stomach is getting angry with me. Cheers.